All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of Mediocre Dads. I'm your host, Quan Wilcox, and I know it's been some time, excuse me, since my last episode, but the issue is, as you can tell, this is not my normal or my average setup. The Army has me moving around. I'm not moving, but traveling, doing some work stuff, so I'm doing that, so I make the most of what I got with the setup that's available to me. This is not the best or the ideal setup that I prefer, but like I said, I make the most of what I got and I work with it, but I'm sure you guys don't care about my setup. You care more about the content. So obviously that's important, and that's what the focus is for me, at least. And that's another reason kind of why the episodes are sporadic, because I find myself, I don't want to be clickbait, if you will. I don't want to just make something that where you guys are just like, oh, this is another video on ABC. Like, I want something that means something to me. It's a big part of me, and so that's kind of where I try to make episodes in which you would want to listen to. Additionally, my Facebook was hacked, and that was my fault. I'm not going to get into the details of how it was my fault, but just know, in the end of the day, it was my fault. My wife has made fun of me and continues to make fun of me for that. But nonetheless, if you follow my old Facebook account, you'll know it's my old Facebook account, because most of my friends I've already reached out to and kind of sent Facebook friend requests to them and family and everything. But if you follow the old one, you'll probably get a message asking you for money or asking you for your number or whatever the case might be. Just ignore it. It's not me. I also posted a photo of that person who hacked my account reaching out to me. Well, first off, I don't know why they accepted the friend request. We have the same name on the account. And then he messaged me as if, oh, hey, I don't know. I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but nonetheless, that happened. So just putting that out there about my Facebook account, whatever. But that being said, please follow me on Facebook. Follow me, my new Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Mediocre Dads or at Quan Wilcox. If you're a rando, well, I'll accept your friend request on Mediocre Dads, because I said it to public anyway, but I probably won't accept your friend request on my personal page. But also go watch my other videos on YouTube, Rumble, and you can listen and watch on Spotify. Spotify, truthfully, is kind of the platform which I prefer, but it's up to you. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, go there. I'm on it. Apple Podcasts, I'm having some issues with, so at the moment I'm not. I don't have my stuff up on Apple Podcasts because I'm having some issues, but I'm working that out. Anyway, this week's episode. Well, like I said, I was pondering about what I was going to talk about, right? Like, what was going to be this week's topic, and something that came to my mind that was important to me was discipline. And so, as the fathers, as men of the household, there is a lot of expectation that we are the ones who deliver the punishments. And this has generally been a thing from generation to generation, that saying of just wait till your dad gets home. It's been a thing, and it continues. And to some aspect, there is that fear aspect that your kids have of dad versus mom, because mom gives the nurturing and the and this is gonna sound really mean, the coddling, but like she's more of the nurturer, while the dad generally is more of the standard, the rule setter, if you will. But also, the dad also has no problem breaking the rules when it's time to have fun. Just got to know time and place. But yeah, so discipline. That's it. Like I said, it's an important topic to me because growing up, I was spanked, and I won't say being spanked is bad. I don't think being spanked is bad. I know that there's studies and there's people who talk about it. How they were spanked, and basically because they were spanked, they're different. For me, and I'll only speak for me, but for me, I think spanking did me well. good enough to in as far as discipline wise, because if you know me from when I was younger, I'm not young anymore, but younger, I was in trouble a lot. In middle school, I was in trouble. So elementary and middle school, that's really where it started. And then high school, I was not the best student. And like I said, if you know me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I got suspended a lot. And with those suspensions came some punishments. And I mean, one of them tended when I was younger, it was spanking. Then as I got older, they started taking things from me that were of value, if you will, to a 15, 16-year-old. So at the time, my cell phone, they had no problem shutting off the cell phone. Zilch, cell phone shut off. I couldn't even access anything. What is it? I can hang out with my friends. I call that being grounded. Other people call it, on punishment. Whatever you go with, whatever your terminology you're familiar with. But I was grounded. I was grounded a lot. And then as well as I couldn't watch TV, which, yes, no, kind of, whatever. Wasn't a big deal to me, but to my parents, I guess it seemed like it was. And I was given a lot more chores to do. So especially on the days I was suspended, it was like working a job. So like I would work for 8 hours throughout the day because I was not allowed to essentially take a break, because I was supposed to be at school, but instead I was at home. So now that time was, if my dad was home, my dad's time, or if it was just my mom, she generally had a laundry list of things in which I would do to make up that time. And then evening time, I would do the homework that my brother would bring from school. So that was kind of a little me and what happened to me, and what as I get older, what happened with my punishments. But getting into really me now as a dad, and what I do, what I want me and my wife, what we talk about within our household as far as punishment goes. My oldest is 5 now. Yay to her. I have a 5-year-old. It's a little crazy to think that I have a 5-year-old, but she's 5 now, and she's honest, and she can be a pain. I think it's funny that when parents start talking about their kids and they want to present them in the best light, because obviously they're our offspring. We love them with all of our hearts, and I love my daughters with all of my heart. I would do anything for them. But it's funny when we start talking to other people about it. If you don't have any kids, we're just like very general, or like, oh yeah, they're great, and they love them so much, and kids are awesome. We essentially almost lie to you, right? But when you have kids and we're talking to other parents, they're like, they're a pain in the ass. And you wouldn't believe what little Johnny did, ABC, like you go down the stories, because our kids generally tend to do the same things as they get older, or similar things. And it's hilarious, because like I said, when you're talking to someone who doesn't have kids, you straight up lie to them. But when you talk to someone who does have kids, you're like, who does have kids? Oh man, you guys, you're home, because you're talking to someone who understands your struggle, right? Because being a parent isn't easy, and so to pretend as it is, or to act as if it's really easy. Whoever says it's easy, they're lying. Just know they're struggling every single day. And I hear you, and I see you in your struggle. But it doesn't mean you're alone in that struggle. Anyway, enough about that. But, so my 5-year-old, she has this thing where she doesn't listen. And, I have this thing where my patience is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm working on it. I pray about it every single day. And it's gotten better. Don't get me wrong. It's gotten a lot better. And in part, that's because of the military. It's taught me patience, because we do this thing where we hurry up and wait. So we're like, oh my gosh, move fast as you can to this one place, to this location, to this thing, because we have to get it done, right? It's like life or death every single time. And then you get there and they're like, all right, chill for 5 hours. And you're like, wait, so I had time on the front end? Anyway, we have this thing called hurry up and wait. And all my military buddies know what I'm talking about when I say hurry up and wait. And so that has taught me patience. And because in those moments where they're rushing me, I already know, right, that I'm already going to have time on the back end per se to cool down and relax. So instead of being fuzzled in the head and I'm calm and I'm relaxed now. It wasn't always that way, but I'm calm and relaxed now. So that transferable to being a dad. When my daughter, my oldest in particular, because my youngest, she's figuring out herself. She's under a year, so she's figuring herself out still, figuring out what the world is. But when my oldest, when she something happens, for crazy example, she will bump into the couch, and I say bump into the couch. She'll throw her body into the couch, and she'll throw her body in the couch, throw herself on the ground. And then I don't know how kids do it, but she makes herself start to cry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I watched you from the beginning to the end. I watched you throw yourself on the couch and then throw yourself on the ground and start crying. And you come over to me with the lip, they do the little bottom lip, and she's super sad. And, like all I wanted to do was hug her and coddle her. And so I do. This is not a punishment story, by the way. This is just things that she does. And she makes herself cry. And then I'm like, all right. And then for a while, this is speaking on my patience, by the way. After a while, I'm like, get over it. You threw yourself into the couch. Get over it. You're just fine. Doesn't like that response. Causes more crying. And then, after a while, I'm just kind of like, all right, you cry and you let me know when you're done. But an actual time, punishment is again, that was speaking on my patience, and I only speak about me. Can't speak for y'all. I don't know what your life is. I'm sure we have similar stories, but I can't speak for you. I can only speak for myself. So that piece is kind of more of my patience. But going into the patience tied with a story about discipline would be. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. My wife's probably gonna be upset that I'm telling this story. There was a little boy. And this little boy, her and this little boy they're friends, and they kissed. Now, just know, every fiber in my body, every fiber being in my body, muscle, blood, it was broiling, right? Because I wanted to know whose fault it was and what happened. I say whose fault, but I wanted to know what happened and how it happened. And man, it was, I was heated. So the mother of the little boy, because again, they were playing outside together, and they always play outside together. They're really good. They're good friends. And so I would like to say everything, it worked itself out. No one didn't like each other in the end, whatever case might be, but it was kids. It was okay. I spoke to my father-in-law. I got some fatherly wisdom on how to handle the situation, because I didn't know what to do in that time. But initially I was angry, and initially I was really angry, and I wanted her to know what she did was wrong, and I didn't know how to do that. I initially it was kind of like, do I give her a spanking for doing that? But she doesn't understand what she did. So if I give her a spanking, am I just doing that just because I want to lash out, if you will, as if I'm a kid, or do I do something else? Do I sit down and talk to her and ask her what happened? When I'm thinking about what to do, she doesn't understand, and so she's crying, and I'm just like, I'm like, what? Why are you crying? I don't understand why you're crying right now. Because like 5 seconds ago, when I found this information out and I came and got you, you weren't crying. Now all of a sudden you're crying, and I didn't realize it and I didn't understand it. But she was embarrassed, and this is a lot of this came from the wisdom of me talking to my father-in-law. But she was embarrassed, and she didn't know what to say or what to do, because this feeling of embarrassment, or this emotion of embarrassment, I wouldn't say it was her first time, but it might have been the first time for her where she genuinely felt embarrassed and like, oh my gosh, how am I, like what just happened? And my dad's mad at me, or I don't know, like I don't understand what's going on. Like they're kids, and she was embarrassed, and me being angry at the time wasn't doing anything. And so I brought her inside. Me and my wife tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't listen. I was getting upset. My wife was getting a little upset. And so I said, hey, I'm gonna go pick up some ice. We needed ice. We were going camping, so we needed ice. But I hadn't planned to go do it until like for another couple hours. But I was like, I'm gonna go pick up the ice now. And so while going to pick up the ice, this is when I have this conversation with my father-in-law. I calm down and he explains it to me. He's like, listen, he goes, think about, what she watches. And she's really into princesses and all those things, the Disney princesses and all these other shows, Netflix, and some of those shows, I'm not even gonna lie to you, they're weird. It's like when we watch as kids, I say we, but at least for me, watching Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Beyblade, is it Let It Rip or something? I see a few of those other shows, right? They would see what we were watching and be like, what is going on right now? What is on the TV? You know what I mean? Like kind of just be like, why and how is this interesting? Nonetheless, Chip and Potato, that's one of the ones she watched. Chip and Potato. So like, anyway, real quick tangent. I guess I'm already on one, but anyway, real quick tangent. I believe that show, Chip and Potato, right? Someone said potato chip and said, let's just flip it, and said Chip and Potato. And then they made a whole show series on Potato Chip, and with people with the name, the two characters with the name Potato Chip, right? But just flipped, right? That is my theory, and I believe it's right. If someone else has a theory on this, please comment below what your theory is. Or if you think I'm right, give me a thumbs up, because I think I'm right. And I think that it's ingenious because it's really simple. So anyway, that was my real quick tangent on Chip and Potato, or AKA Potato Chip. So I took that drive, and I was talking to him, and he was like, hey, think about the things she watches, right? And she doesn't watch anything inappropriate, but on those little princess shows or whatever, or some of those princess shows, they you see them kissing, and she sees me and her mom kissing, and but she primarily sees me and her mom kissing. So he goes like, she sees that, but she sees it as a good thing. She sees you guys are in love. Well, maybe she doesn't know what love is, but she sees that. She sees it from you. So, kids being kids, exploring, whatever. But it wasn't in a nature of which we need to be concerned about. Like if she were 12 to 15, finding out what love is, or wanting to know what love is at that point in time, just know I won't exist, because I'll probably be in a hole in the ground, because I can't imagine having a 12-year-old, because having a 12-year-old means that the disrespect now is going to be greater. But the disrespect now is it's childlike. She doesn't understand some of the things she says. She doesn't understand it's disrespect. But when she's 12 to 15, let's just pray my patience is on 10. Let's just pray for that. Pray for me, please. But anyway, we had that conversation. I went back home. I sat her down. I said, hey, sweetie, I know you're embarrassed. And I said, it's okay. I was like, you didn't do anything wrong. Mom and dad still love you. You just got to understand that you can't be doing that. That's not age appropriate for you to be doing. And I gave her a real big hug because, I felt bad for getting angry with her. And me and my wife and her, we just kind of hung out. We just kind of sat down on the couch and hung out. We didn't talk about it. There was no need to talk about it. She already had that feeling of regret, if you will. I'm assuming it's regret, but like similar to that emotion. And we didn't talk about it. And we just kind of sat there and we enjoyed each other's presence. Watched one of her shows, and that was it. But in that moment, man, in the initial moment of hearing about it, I think I got angry because I got scared because I didn't know what to do. And when you're in a moment and where you don't know what to do, anger, for me at least, anger is the first emotion that comes to my mind because I'm thinking to myself, I'm in a situation, I don't know what to do. So I have no idea how to get out of this situation or navigate to around the situation, a roadblock, if you will. And so, amongst that, in the ideology of fear, it transfers to anger, and then when it comes to our kids, we don't know what to do. So in that fear, we get angry, and it's because it's simpler and it's easier, and it's just go to your room or whatever the case might be. But we can't do that. We have to think back to the times in which our parents would try to punish us when we did some of the craziest things, right? And realized, like, okay, if roles were reversed, right, you were the parent and they were the kids, would you do something different? And you start to think about it, really think about it, and you're like, oh, I probably wouldn't have done something different. I probably would have done the same thing, right? Because you want to let your kids know, you're trying to teach them and lead them and guide them, but then you're not trying to be more of like an authoritarian where you're just like, the law is the law, the rules are the rules. If you can't handle it, well, time to get that ass whooped. You know what I mean? Real quick on that, I would say that your parents aren't perfect, just like my parents, just like us as parents aren't perfect. And my parents were learning just as much as your parents were learning, just as much as now I'm learning how to be a good parent. Right now, I have two daughters, and one's 5, and the other one's like 6-7 months old. And so like I have a little bit more knowledge for the younger one because I have a 5-year-old. But when my older one gets to say 15, right? I don't know. I haven't raised a 15-year-old, so I don't know some of the landmines, if you will, of how to navigate handling or dealing with a 15-year-old. I haven't learned that, so I have to learn that. As it comes, right? Because people give you advice. Do you remember your parents will give you advice? And when your parents give you advice, one, it comes off sometimes condescending, and then, but two, you're kind of like, yeah, but that was like the 90s for me, at least. 90s, early 2000s. So, like that might have worked then, but now it's a little different. For example, talking to your parents about phones, and you're like, kids, they're like, oh, what age are you gonna give your kids phones? Well, I don't know, to be honest with you. I think 8's an appropriate age. Some of them get it sooner, right? I mean, we give them iPads. Let's just be real. We give them iPads by the time they're 4 or 5 or even 3. So why would it be a ridiculous idea to give them a phone, say by the time they're 6 or 7, when they're at school and they need a call? They say, hey, I need a ride home, or hey, I need blah, 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 or text me, something's going on. Like, can I go to such and such house after school, or whatever the case might be, right? And so why would it be an absurd idea to give them a phone when they're 5 or 6, when we're giving this tablet and saying, go play, or whatever the case might be? But anyway, like I said, I'm not perfect. Me and my wife are not perfect, and we're learning, and we're doing our best every single day. And every day is a new learning opportunity. to learn something new about yourself and learn something new about your kids. And that's what our parents were doing. They were learning new things about themselves. I just spit. That's disgusting. As well as learning things about us and what was the best approach to talk to us? What was the best approach to get us to open up to them? And that's kind of where I'm at now, where I'm really focusing on patience, but also within that patience, trying to get my daughter to open up to me more. And I say open up to me more, but like have a relationship where if something happens, I want to be the first phone call. I don't care what it is. She beat somebody up at school. Dad, I beat somebody up at school. All right, I'm on my way. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Right? Hey, she's driving. When she's that age, she's driving into a car accident. Call me. Dad, I got a car accident. Where are you at? Send me a pin. Whatever the case may be. I'm on my way. Call the police. Transfer. Do all that. Do what you got to do. But I want to be that first phone call. Because I want to be there for her. And I want her to know that I'm there for her, or for them. I'm speaking more because my oldest, she's closer to that age frame than my youngest is. But I want to be there for them, and I'm going to be there for them. And I don't want them to be afraid that, if they call me, something's going to happen. Nope. I don't care what it is. Call me. We'll figure it out the rest later. But call me so I know what's going on, so I can do my best to help you. And if we got to get in a situation, we got to get in a situation. So we got to put some bodies in the backyard. We got to put some bodies in the backyard. I'm joking, but you get my drift. That being said, though, I'm interested to kind of hear from you guys. I know there's a lot of people out there because this whole new thing with gentle parenting, and I respect some of the aspects of gentle parenting, but I also don't think that. I also think that there's a better way to doing that, if you will, more of a not an authoritarian but authoritative type of parenting style where I think it's authoritative. I think that's what it's called, but it's more of a it's kind of in the middle. Like you have rules, and I'm not saying parents who gentle parent don't have rules. I have seen parents who do gentle parenting, and it kind of seems to me from the outside looking in that their kids kind of walk all over them, and that doesn't sit well with me. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where the line is drawn for me, where gentle parenting comes. As far as gentle parenting goes, like I want to talk to my kids and I want to hear them out. Well, my oldest, because she's the only one who talk, but I want to hear her out and hear her thought process. But I also know, like, if there was a line, I set the rules and the guidelines, and you cross that line, we're not talking about it. You knew what the rules were, and you willingly knowingly made a decision to cross that line. We're not talking about it. We're gonna find out. You know what I mean? We're going to find out there's going to be consequences, because there's consequences to everything you do, negative or positive. I tell that to everyone, all my soldiers, consequences to everything you do, negative or positive. But hey, I want to hear from you guys. Tell me more about what your parenting style it is, what you enjoy, what was like growing up for you guys. Comment below. Again, like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit the little Rumble button. I think it's like a thumbs up or something if you're on Rumble. And then on Spotify, please subscribe to my Spotify, to my whatever it is, however we do that, whatever. Subscribe. But hey, follow me on Instagram, Mediocre Dads. I'm there, and I'm putting more content out. I'm doing my best. Like I said, just limited because the Army has been going a lot of different places right now. So you'll see some episodes pop up here and there. But I'm trying to get back to just one episode a week. That's my goal. That's my intent. Obviously, we'll see, time willing. But that being said, hey, thanks for joining me on this episode. Again, I'm your host, Quan Wilcox, and until next time.